In the realm of DevOps, designing an effective deployment strategy is crucial for ensuring smooth and reliable software releases. Deployment strategies help manage the risks associated with releasing new features and updates to production environments. This presentation will delve into various deployment strategies, including bluegreen, canary, ring, progressive exposure, feature flags, and A/B testing. Each strategy has its unique advantages and use cases, and understanding them will enable you to choose the best approach for your specific needs. Deployment strategies are essential for minimizing downtime, reducing the risk of introducing bugs, and ensuring a seamless user experience. By carefully planning and executing deployments, teams can achieve faster release cycles, improve software quality, and enhance customer satisfaction. Effective deployment strategies also enable teams to roll back changes quickly if issues arise, ensuring that the impact on users is minimized. In this presentation, we will explore the key benefits and considerations for each deployment strategy. Blue-green deployment is a strategy that involves running two identical production environments, referred to as blue and green. At any given time, only one environment serves live production traffic. The other environment is used for staging the new release. Once the new version is tested and verified in the staging environment, traffic is switched to the new environment, making it live. This approach minimizes downtime and allows for easy rollback if issues are detected. Blue-green deployment is particularly useful for applications that require high availability and minimal disruption. To implement blue-green deployment, start by setting up two identical environments. Deploy the current version of your application to the blue environment and the new version to the green environment. Use a load balancer to direct traffic to the blue environment initially. Once the new version is tested and verified in the green environment, switch the load balancer to direct traffic to the green environment. Monitor the new environment closely for any issues. If problems arise, switch back to the blue environment to minimize user impact. This strategy requires careful planning and coordination, but offers significant benefits in terms of reliability and uptime. Canary deployment is a strategy that involves releasing a new version of an application to a small subset of users before rolling it out to the entire user base. This approach allows teams to monitor the new version's performance and gather feedback from a limited audience. If no issues are detected, the deployment is gradually expanded to more users. Canary deployment helps identify potential problems early and reduces the risk of widespread issues. It is particularly useful for applications with a large user base or those that require frequent updates. To implement Canary deployment, start by deploying the new version of your application to a small subset of servers or users. Monitor the performance and gather feedback from this limited audience. Use metrics such as error rates, response times, and user feedback to assess the new version's stability. If no issues are detected, gradually increase the number of servers or users receiving the new version. Continue monitoring and expanding the deployment until the new version is fully rolled out. This approach requires robust monitoring and feedback mechanisms to ensure a smooth and successful deployment. Ring deployment, also known as phased or staged deployment, involves releasing a new version of an application in stages or rings. Each ring represents a group of users or servers, with the innermost ring being the smallest and the outermost ring being the largest. The new version is first deployed to the innermost ring, and if no issues are detected, it is gradually rolled out to the outer rings. This approach allows teams to test the new version in a controlled manner and minimize the impact of potential issues. Ring deployment is particularly useful for large-scale applications with diverse user bases. To implement ring deployment, start by defining the rings or stages for your deployment. The innermost ring should include a small group of users or servers, while the outermost ring should encompass the entire user base. Deploy the new version of your application to the innermost ring and monitor its performance closely. If no issues are detected, gradually expand the deployment to the next ring. Continue this process until the new version is fully rolled out. This approach requires careful planning and monitoring to ensure a smooth and successful deployment. Progressive exposure is a deployment strategy that involves gradually exposing a new version of an application to users over time. This approach allows teams to monitor the new version's performance and gather feedback incrementally. Progressive exposure can be achieved through techniques such as feature flags, canary releases, and ring deployments. The goal is to minimize the risk of introducing issues and ensure a smooth transition for users. Progressive exposure is particularly useful for applications that require frequent updates or have a large user base. To implement progressive exposure, start by deploying the new version of your application to a small subset of users or servers. Use feature flags to control the exposure of new features and gather feedback from the limited audience. Monitor the performance and gradually increase the exposure based on the feedback and metrics collected. Techniques such as canary releases and ring deployments can be used to achieve progressive exposure. This approach requires robust monitoring and feedback mechanisms to ensure a smooth and successful deployment. Feature flags, also known as feature toggles, are a technique used to enable or disable features in an application without deploying new code. This approach allows teams to release new features to a subset of users and gather feedback before making them available to the entire user base. Feature flags provide flexibility and control over the release process, enabling teams to test new features in production and roll them back if issues are detected. This technique is particularly useful for applications that require frequent updates or have a large user base. To implement feature flags, start by adding the necessary code to enable or disable features in your application. Use a feature flag management tool to control the exposure of new features. Deploy the new version of your application with the feature flags turned off. Gradually enable the feature flags for a subset of users and monitor the performance and feedback. If no issues are detected, gradually expand the exposure to more users. Feature flags provide a flexible and controlled way to release new features and gather feedback incrementally. A/B testing is a technique used to compare two versions of an application or feature to determine which one performs better. This approach involves dividing users into two groups and exposing each group to a different version. By analyzing metrics such as user engagement, conversion rates, and performance, teams can determine which version is more effective. A/B testing helps teams make data-driven decisions and optimize the user experience. This technique is particularly useful for applications that require frequent updates or have a large user base. To implement A/B testing, start by defining the two versions of the application or feature you want to compare. Use a tool to divide users into two groups and expose each group to a different version. Monitor the performance and gather metrics such as user engagement, conversion rates, and feedback. Analyze the data to determine which version performs better. Based on the results, decide whether to fully roll out the winning version or make further adjustments. A/B testing provides valuable insights into user preferences and helps teams optimize the user experience. Choosing the right deployment strategy depends on various factors, including the size of your user base, the frequency of updates, and the criticality of your application. Blue-green deployment is ideal for applications that require high availability and minimal downtime. Canary deployment and ring deployment are suitable for large-scale applications with diverse user bases. Progressive exposure and feature flags provide flexibility and control over the release process. A/B testing helps teams make data-driven decisions and optimize the user experience. By understanding the strengths and use cases of each strategy, you can choose the best approach for your specific needs. Integrating deployment strategies into your build and release pipelines is essential for achieving continuous delivery and improving software quality. Start by defining the stages of your pipeline, including build, test, and deploy. Use automation tools to streamline the process and ensure consistency. Implement the chosen deployment strategy within the deployment stage of your pipeline. Monitor the performance and gather feedback at each stage to ensure a smooth and successful deployment. By integrating deployment strategies into your pipelines, you can achieve faster release cycles, reduce the risk of introducing issues, and enhance customer satisfaction. Monitoring and feedback are critical components of any deployment strategy. Use monitoring tools to track the performance of your application and gather metrics such as error rates, response times, and user engagement. Implement feedback mechanisms to collect user feedback and identify potential issues. Use the data collected to make informed decisions and improve the deployment process. Monitoring and feedback help teams identify and address issues early, ensuring a smooth and successful deployment. By continuously monitoring and gathering feedback, you can achieve continuous improvement and enhance the overall quality of your software. In conclusion, designing an effective deployment strategy is crucial for ensuring smooth and reliable software releases. By understanding and implementing various deployment strategies, including bluegreen, canary, ring, progressive exposure, feature flags, and A/B testing, teams can minimize downtime, reduce the risk of introducing issues, and enhance the user experience. Integrating these strategies into your build and release pipelines, monitoring performance, and gathering feedback are essential for achieving continuous delivery and improving software quality. By following best practices and continuously improving your deployment process, you can achieve faster release cycles, improve software quality, and enhance customer satisfaction.